Good.
Alright, take one.
Take one. Hopefully the only one.
Alright, Peter Maximo here with American Trail Running Association. I'm here with the legendary Zack Miller, who's with North Face and Buff, as you can see. Zack, how you doing?
Good, how are you, Peter?
I'm doing alright. So, the reason why we're talking today is because of injury. I know you've been dealing with injury lately this year, so it forced you to drop out of UTMB. And I've been dealing with injury, so I can commiserate with you. What is the injury, first of all?
Well, it's a foot issue that I've been fighting all year. When I started training at the beginning of the year, back in the winter, I was having issues with my left foot.
Mm-hmm.
I was also having issues with a plantar fasciitis injury in my right foot that I had probably actually for most of, or a good chunk of 2018, but I really just ran through it. So beginning of the year, I had a plantar issue in my right foot, a peroneal tendon issue in my left foot, and the plantar issue, is I could stubbornly run through. The peroneal issue got to the point where I couldn't really run through it anymore. I just wasn't getting anywhere, and I'd run up to bar camp, and by like the last quarter mile, I could barely run. So I finally called it quits and took some time off, got a PRP injection. It made a bunch of progress, did some PT, got to the point where I started training again. Said like, okay, I'm going to give UTMB a go. Was able to put in some good training. Was able to get the start line feeling like it wasn't irresponsible to start. But I had never been like 100% pain free.
Right.
So yeah, the race derailed kind of from the get-go, but then because of more like stomach and sickness stuff, but then in the end what actually stopped all the forward progress was that my foot just wasn't feeling right, and so I pulled the plug and dropped out.
Okay. And you hiked a lot with our friend Alex Nichols?
Yeah, Alex found me when I was having a really low patch in the race and passed me, and then I rebounded a bit and caught him. But by the time I found him, we were both pretty cooked.
Yeah.
We were basically just hiking. So Alex and I basically just went for a nice walk.
Yeah.
Until
Good mountain walking.
Yeah. Until my
Show me
foot. Yeah. Until my foot just like was obvious that it wasn't going to be good to keep going, and so I just said to Alex, hey, like, I'm stopping. It's not worth walking to the finish if I'm going to injure my foot.
Right.
And then he actually made a similar decision. Said like he had been dealing with a similar issue during the year. His bad foot was actually okay, but his other foot was bugging him, and so he said, yeah, I'm going to stop too.
So that seems to be overcompensation issues seem to lead to worse injuries. Is that what you...
Yeah, possibly.
Noticed?
I mean, like, for me, injuries are hardly ever like as clear cut as you would like them to be. You just want it to be like, this is their injury, this is how you fix it,
Right.
This is the reason. Like, but it's, my finding has been like, you can go to like 10 different doctors and they might all have a different theory. And so is it is it like a compensation thing? I'd say there's a good chance, that when my plantar was hurting, I was probably favoring my other foot. But what I found recently is, just yesterday I came off the mountain to go up to Golden to see like a foot specialist. And she put me through a whole bunch of just like things to check, I guess, like where my weaknesses were for any imbalances and things like that. It was really, really thorough. I was very impressed. If you guys want to check out her Instagram handle, it's Gait Happens, and she posts a lot of stuff about
G-A-I-T as in gait.
G-A-I-T and then Happens. And she's just a really big like foot gait person. And so I had just kind of come under the impression that she was the guru.
Yep.
So I went up there to see what she had to say. And basically, she pointed out to me that I have a bunch of imbalances.
Yeah, and you were showing me earlier what exercises you're doing, and
yeah,
you could tell one leg, your injured leg, was not performing as it should.
I mean, and when I went in and told her the stuff I've been doing, it wasn't necessarily like, okay, you're totally off track. It was like, you're more or less doing the right stuff, but we're not doing it quite in the right way. We're not doing it with quite the right strategy. We need to like do more loading. We need to do like higher intensity like exercises to get the tissue reconditioned. And yeah, it's pretty remarkable, left to right side of my body, how bad I am at some things. Like, she worked with me a lot to try to get my like glutes to activate,
Right.
and she'd make me do stuff, and she's like, are they activating? And every now and then I'd be like, yeah, it's working. And then there would be other exercises where I'd be like, no, I don't really feel anything in my glute. And it was like, it's like, I'm probably supposed to be feeling a lot in my glute right now, and I just don't. And then left to right side, like proprioception exercises and things like that, like there's just a pretty big difference between like my good leg and my bad leg. And so, yeah, I think, you know, as runners, it's very easy to just kind of like try and run through things, and I think sometimes that kind of works.
Yeah.
But you can also get into this whole of like, okay, now you're favoring a certain side, and okay, now you're creating new issues. And I think you just have to really kind of pay attention to like keeping your body in check and balanced out.
Right.
And that's like what I'm trying to get back to now. So like when I walked in to my appointment yesterday, she wasn't like, okay, you need to stop running and you'll get better. She actually asked me why I wasn't running. She was like, why aren't you running? And it wasn't like it was more of like, it was almost like maybe she thought I should be running.
Right.
And then I explained like, well, usually if I could be running and it seemed to be helping, I would be running.
Right.
Because usually running is like, I'm always running, and if anything, running gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
So I explained why I wasn't, and then I think she kind of like, as she looked me over, then I think she really understood. And she was like, yeah, you can't run again until you can do a proper single leg calf raise. Like,
so that brings up a good point, because I know how you train with you a bit. I know how you race. A lot of people out there know how you race. You go from the front, go as hard as you can, try to hold it. So, and you're different. You're an elite athlete. What about those people that are out there that are getting similar injuries? You probably don't condone running through an injury and then causing an overcompensation issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to injuries, like, the rules are pretty much the same, whether you're elite or you're a beginner, you know, or you're just like, you've been running all your life, but you know, you're just a middle of the packer or back of the packer. Like, it's like the human body doesn't like the human body doesn't really know whether you're elite or not. It just knows, like, you know, imbalances and its limits, and it's just going to behave it's just going to behave how it behaves.
Right.
So we all really need to just take care of it, I guess, the same way. I think there are, when you ask about like would I condone running through something, I don't want to say like a hard set answer on that. I think what you need to do is you need to pay attention to your body and figure out what it needs, and then do that. So like, yeah, sometimes that means don't run right now, like I was told yesterday at my appointment, because there's too many things out of whack and you're just going to chase yourself around in a circle trying to heal it.
Right.
But I think some people also get really scared to do anything. And they're like, well, I just need to sit on the couch, obviously, because when I move it hurts.
Right.
And I think that can also be bad too. So because you need to keep some sort of, sometimes complete rest is good, but sometimes like the activity and the blood flow and the use of a muscle is actually helpful in the healing process. So you need to, I guess, seek out professional help so that they can help direct you in like what's okay to do and what's not okay to do, and then do the things that are good, and then stay away from the activities that are bad until you're strong enough to handle them, and then do those.
Right. So if someone told you a year and a half ago, when this injury just started, that maybe you should take 2 weeks off, in retrospect, would you have listened to them?
Like if it was just starting, unless they were like really firm or really convincing, no, probably not.
So get a convincing doctor.
I'd probably be like, no, I'm gonna keep running and see if it works its way out. Like, because that's what I've done. Like, I'll be like, that's what I did in college, and it always seemed to work. You know. And like maybe sometimes that does work, but there's like. That's the thing about injuries. There's no like, it's not as black and white as we like to think. So in college,
so you're saying it's not like you're injured, take completely the time off, or if you're healthy, run as much as you.
I mean,
want.
I think in general, like the biggest thing, pretty much the biggest thing in training is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can err on the side of caution and replace some running with some cross training and sidestep an injury, then that's probably way better than rolling the dice with maybe I can run through this, and if I run through this, okay, I kept my silly little running streak alive, but if it doesn't work, I might be out for 2 months.
Right.
Like, I don't think that gamble. And trust me, I always want to take that gamble because I'm like, oh, it might work. And if it works, it's great because I'll be confident on race day knowing I didn't miss any training. And, you know, I was just like, I feel like I'll get such benefit out of keeping that running training going. But in reality, like if I take a week off and bike and do an elliptical or something like that.
Or elliptical.
Yeah, or
you have an elliptical.
Yeah, I have an elliptical at bar camp. Like if you do that and you can keep that healthy train rolling, and then go right back to running, like that's way better. That's way the risk reward, because what you're the tiny little bit that you're going to lose, if anything, you may not lose anything at all by doing that. But even if you did, it's going to be so marginal, and in the long run, it's going to be so much better. Because if you do roll those dice and they come up wrong, and you're out for 2 months, well, then you're like, now you are a bit behind the 8 ball.
So you're saying you should listen to what Kenny Rogers said in that song, The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He wasn't talking about praying.
No, I think he was talking about gambling.
Oh, I was very sheltered.
All right, so your next step, you're just gonna heal, recover, and get back, and then start thinking about racing.
Yeah, when I walked into the doctor yesterday, she was like, and PTs and doctors often ask me this, and they're like, what's your goal? Like, where's your next race?
Win UTMB.
And and I guess I get why they're asking that, because they want to know what they're working with in terms of time frame. What are you shooting for? But you know, I think that answer to that question can then also be like a big step towards success or a big step towards frustration. Because if I would walk in and say, well, I want to run, you know, North Face 50 next month, or even I want to run Black Canyon, you know, this winter, you know, then it's like all of a sudden we're on a time crunch.
Yep. And
we're trying to dictate our efforts towards this sort of arbitrary goal.
Well, that same similar thing happened to you this year.
Which can be worthwhile, and sometimes but again, it's another roll of the dice. It's like, can I do this in this amount of time? Where when I walked in yesterday and she asked me, what's your goal? I said, like, my only goal right now is to get healthy. like to be 100%. Like that's it. Like,
so you don't have it on your mind that I need to be ready by January to run?
No, I
said
have. I
race.
mean, I have on my mind that like, okay, it would be nice to run this race in March, and if I can't run that race, it would be nice to run this race in like April or May, and it'd be nice to run this race in August. But like, it's not going to go very well to get to those races if I don't just take care of what's right in front of me, right here. So, I need to first get healthy, and then once I'm healthy, then I can start to make. It's okay, I think, to have some loose goals, but all of them are loose, and that's the key word. Like, I have ideas of what I'd like to do pending that I'm healthy.
Right.
And for me, I feel like that's just probably a more responsible way to go about it, and it's also less stressful.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. I mean, sure, there's still a part of me that is like, you know, and especially with like social media and everything, and me seeing what like teammates and friends are doing, being like, oh, I should be out there like getting fit, working on building my base and all that. And there's part of me that is like still, you know, a little stressed out or nervous, like, oh boy, like my clock is ticking, like the consistency cycle should continue, but it's a little hampered. But at the same time, that like the health is more important. And the good news is, right now, since I haven't committed to any fall races and everything is pretty far off, I can still work on the things that I need to work on in this phase of a training cycle without being a detriment to my injury.
Right.
So I can sit on like an arm bike and just use my arms, or I can do, you know, cycling or something like that and build the cardiovascular engine and the fitness. You know, it won't be all the running specific stuff, but I can lay like the base.
And that's what you're doing
in
now.
the meantime.
Is
yeah, it's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I took a 2-3 weeks maybe where I just didn't really do anything. All I did was like, you know, chores at bar camp, and you know, so some stuff is kind of labor intensive. But no, I didn't run, I didn't bike, I didn't hand cycle, I didn't really do anything. I just took time off. And then like a couple weeks ago, I started again with the arm biking, and then mixing in a little bit of pedaling, and then yesterday I was given the green light to bike. So today we took a ride up Rampart Range Road, and I'm hoping that I'll be given the green light to do my elliptical stand-up bike, because I can do that on the trails up at camp. But really, like, I'm gonna take what I've got, what I can work with, the cards I'm given, and you know, if that's, you know, hand cycling or riding a bike trainer, riding a bike, whatever, and just work with that, and then trying to really focus on the PT exercises and getting back to the point where I can run. Like, the main goal right now isn't a race. The main goal is to fix the imbalances and strengthen the body so that it can get back on the trails.
So what I've noticed, you brought up a good point about social media and being an elite athlete. That's something that you should be doing, you need to be doing. That's how you promote yourself, that's how you promote your brands that support you. And I've noticed, this is a personal notice that I've seen, is that when athletes are injured, mountain trail ultra running athletes, they tend to disappear or stay quiet. There's very few that do talk about their injuries, but it's not a pleasant time to go through. Like, what do you do during that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's common amongst elites and probably just amongst people in general. Like, you just hide in a cave. Like, I do that.
Is it a pain cave?
It's a pain cave, but it's a different kind of pain cave.
Mental pain cave.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and it's not, I don't know that it's, that you're doing it to be dishonest or anything. It's just like, I think partly it's just like, things aren't real great now. Like, I don't feel like talking about this stuff.
You also
know?
don't have beautiful pictures on the top of Chamonix Valley and in Spain and in...
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I tend to go pretty quiet on social media when I'm dealing with that stuff. Or maybe I'll post a bunch, but it will be very little running stuff. It'll just be like shoveling compost at bar camp.
Yeah. Just pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
To watch. Probably not doing. Cleaning out the bio toilets.
Yeah. But, you know, I think...
What would you recommend, like when... I mean, people follow you. You have a lot of followers. They want to hear what you're doing, but I know that the hesitation of not to express that I'm miserable, I don't need to project this on social media.
Yeah.
I know you usually put very positive posts out, or you working hard.
I think people like to see the reality of it. So, like, I think, and for me as an elite, following other elites, it's helpful or it feels good when I see them put up things that, like, are honest of, like, this is, like, I'm injured right now, this is where I'm at, like, this is a struggle, and for me that's helpful because it's like, oh wow, like, they're in the same boat, like, it's just like misery loves company. It's like nice to know that you're not the only one. So I don't think people need to feel like everybody kind of shares their story in their own way. I don't think people need to feel like, oh, I'm injured, I need to share like every little detail about it. I need to be updating all of the time. I think it can be more just like simple of the fact of just something raw and honest. Just like maybe there's a post once in a while like, hey guys, I'm hurt. I'm chopping wood instead of running. You know, like, and it doesn't need to be like a huge dramatic thing of like, I mean, it's an injury. Like there's, like, I know they're hard and they're tough, you know, and some of them are really like traumatic, but like at the end of the day, like, it's just an injury. Like, we should feel comfortable enough, and that's maybe something I'm maybe growing towards, that we can just like get on social media and just be like, hey guys, I'm injured. In other news, this is the goofy thing I did today that wasn't running related, you know, and maybe once in a while put an update up to tell people like, oh, it's improved a bunch, or I saw this doctor, or like, I'm hoping to be running soon, or I got to add in this cross-training activity this week. I think people like the updates. In my mind, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like calling my mom on the phone and giving her an update on my life, you know, because like there's people out there and they're like, well, we just want to know what you're up to, like, you know, where are you at? And so I think like for me as an elite, since there's so many people that follow, it is good if I can learn to give those updates, just because like people follow and they wonder and they want to know how you're doing.
Yeah, and you inspire people and they would like to know what's going on, even if it's negative.
Yeah.